All right, what happens if you could modify the internal rate of return? This is what this concept is called. It's the modified internal rate of return. And this tries to control for some of the problems with the IRR. There's three methods: the discounting approach, the reinvestment approach, and the combination approach. I'm not going to expect you guys to know each of these approaches. That's not the goal here. What's the goal is to try to show you what goes on in Excel when you calculate this. Because this formula is super easy. You write in equals MIRR, do your little scroll down, boom, you're done, you get an answer. What Excel does in the background is what they're showing you here, okay? So there's three methods: discounting approach, reinvestment approach, and the combination approach. The MIRR will be a unique number for each method. The discount, financing, compound reinvestment rate is externally supplied. So, first, let's go over the discounting approach. Here you would discount future outflows, negative cash flows, to the present value, and add CFO, which is your cash flow at period zero. Once again, this is what's going on in Excel. This is just teaching you something, and this is not really relevant for the quiz. You're going to zero out negative cash flows which have been added to CFO, and then compute the IRR normally. So you get 19.74 with this discounting approach. As you can see here, you're going to discount that negative 100 back. So that's being discounted back here, and then you add those two together. 155 remains, and you get, if you do the IRR on all three of these, you get 19.74. The reinvestment approach, you compound rather than discount. You compound all cash flows to the end of the project's life. You zero out all cash flows which have been added to the last year of the project's life, and you compute IRR normally. So this is the opposite. Here you're actually compounding forward the positive cash flow that occurs in year one, which comes to 186. Less that 100, you get 86 over here, and you do the IRR for that, and you get 19.72. The third approach is what happens in Excel. It's called the combination approach. You discount all outflows, and you compound all inflows. So discount all outflows back to CFO, compound all inflows to the end of the project's life, and then you compute IRR normally. So, you see here, this negative 100 was discounted up to here at negative 69.44. Positive 155 goes to 186 as a compounded. You come across here and you IRR all three of these periods, and you get 19.87. Key here is they're all pretty similar, right? The first one was 19.72, second one was, 19.74, second one was 19.72, third one was 19.87. So regardless of which method you use, they're all relatively close. This combination approach is what Excel uses in the background when you put in the formula, which I'm going to show you how to do now. So Excel uses method 3, MIRR, is the discounted rate which causes the present value of a project's terminal value to equal the present value of cost. MIRR assumes cash flows are reinvested at the weighted adjusted cost of capital. And here's what the function looks like. So, as you can see up top, you're just taking your B4 through your B6, which was the original cash flows. And then you put in your rate, which is 20%. They do it twice here, maybe because they'd had a guess again. Anyway, you enter that in, you get your IRR, or MIRR, which is 19.87. The other thing that's covered in this chapter is the, once again, don't worry about all the ins and outs of the MIRR. I would like you to know what the definition is. You know, basically that it's a modified version of the IRR, but not much more than that. MIRR is going to correctly assume reinvestment at opportunity cost, or the WACC, weighted adjusted cost of capital. This is a concept that we're going to discuss further in the course. There's an entire chapter on it. But it's basically what they're saying here is that the MIRR is assuming that you can reinvest your money at an opportunity cost, which you can think of as almost a savings rate. So rather than using it on a particular project, you could be reinvesting it at a specific savings rate or an opportunity cost. And they consider that the weighted adjusted cost of capital. This is going to avoid the multiple IRR problem. Managers like the rate of return comparisons, and the MIRR is better for this than IRR. So there's some benefits to the MIRR. We're not going to get into this, so I'm going to skip through it. Profitability index. Once again, you can look at online. There's a video on the profitability index if you'd like to look at that. But for the sake of our quiz next week, we're not going to cover that. Okay? All right, so capital budgeting in practice. What you should do when you're going through capital budgeting is you should consider all investment criteria when making decisions, which is what we've been doing. We've noted that the NPV and the IRR are the most commonly used primary investment criteria. So this is actually used on a routine basis, the NPV and IRR. The payback is a commonly used secondary investment criteria. Why? Because you'd like to know how quickly you would pay something back, so it's worthwhile to know that. And all of them provide valuable information. But as we've been saying, the highlight and the theme of the chapter was the NPV thing is the best. So hopefully you'll go home knowing that. Because I'm sure that will be on the quiz. There's a summary here, which you can do you can look over at home if you'd like. I'm going to stop this now.